Now I have to tell you a story about this. Some of you know this story. Years ago, do you remember at Leadership, some of you might remember this, we used to have what's called Diamond Day at Leadership. It was the day before all the diamonds would show up, before everyone else would come, and Emily Ray called me up one year and she said, Allyse, I want you to be the keynote speaker, and I want you to kill it. This has to be an epic performance. And I said, okay, Emily, what do you want me to talk on? And she said, I want you to talk on creative recruiting. And I'm like, okay, I can totally do that, that's fine. So that day I came, and you know how some days you're on and some days you're off, some days you do better and some days you don't? Well, I was on that day. I had a red jacket on, I looked great, I spoke well, I had everyone in the palms of my hand, they were crying, they were laughing, they were engaged. And one line that I was supposed to say was, I've never had more success in my life. I said in front of that group, I've never had more sex in my life. And I looked over, first of all, I just stood there and I just went, wow. And then I looked over at David Sterling and he just went like this. He was right on the front row. And you know, I felt, and Patrick was standing over on the side, totally blushing. He was like, oh my goodness, right? So I felt really uncomfortable in front of big groups on stage, but that day, after I made that comment, something happened. And I reverted into my 5-year-old self. And on both sides of the stage, there was a bush. It was probably maybe about this tall on both sides of the stage. And what I did next was I literally walked over to the bush and I hid behind it. Like this. And then the crowd starts roaring with laughter, right? Now I'm behind the bush. The owners don't know what to do. I'm thinking, how do I get myself out of this situation, right? Who remembers me doing that? Yeah, that happened. Like, it happened, right? So anyway, finally I stand up and I don't know how I recovered. Somehow, I don't even think I recovered. And poor Patrick was up next. So anyway, the rest of the night, I was in front of diamonds and a lot of them had my cell number. And all night long, I'd be like, oh my gosh, Patrick, there's no way, like, I want to crawl under a rock. There's no way I'm going to recover from this. Well, remember what my topic was, creative recruiting. So all night long, into the wee morning, I would get texts that was like, so now we know why you're one of the top enrollers. It was so bad. Or like they text me and they'd be like, you've been holding out on us, Allyse, with your strategies. It was so bad. Well, an interesting thing happened after that. I was no longer asked to speak for 3 years at Leadership and a Convention. I'm sure they were like, we have no idea what's coming out of her mouth. Like, it's way too big of a risk, you know? Anyway, this topic, I have to say this multiple times. It's the weekly success schedule. I'm gonna do my very best job, all right? I'm gonna do my very best job. And we're gonna get through this. I've already prepped you, okay? Are we ready? Here we go. Okay, you know how after an event, you always think of like the perfect thing you could have said? But it's like always after, and you're never witty enough, right? What I should have said is, with David Sterling right there, right when I said, I've never had more sex in my life, I should have just with a total straight face been like, and that is why you want to go presidential diamond. Goodbye, everyone. Just like, walked off the stage. And everyone would have been like, epic. She was asking for something epic. It would have been epic. All right, here we go. So many of us have this feeling in our business, like, what should I do to succeed? And see all those arrows going all over? Is that how you felt lately? Like every single direction, like, oh my gosh, this person says this, and this person says this, and I'm gonna go this way, and constantly changing directions, and our downlines feel whiplash. It's like they don't even know what to trust anymore, and if that direction is gonna pan out, so most of the time, what do? Nothing. Is that true? But I get it. I get why we're just searching for something. It's almost like we just go and huck stuff on the wall and be like, whatever sticks, I'm going with. Right? All we need is a clear path. It doesn't, now I want you to don't misunderstand me. It doesn't even have to be the best path. It just has to be the one that's clear that everyone can follow. Do you understand? If I had a choice between the perfect duplication model or the one that most people can do, which one would I choose? The one that most people can do. It will always last longer and be more effective. So, we have found that really successful wellness advocates, they follow a very specific schedule. A very specific schedule. Do you remember on your chart that we gave you in your little handout that it says to go diamond, it's about 40 to 60 hours a week, right? What if I were to show you a schedule that's 20 hours a week? Yes. It's a diamond schedule. It's 20 hours a week, and even if right now in this room, you are sitting as an elite or below. In 12 months, you could be diamond. This is the schedule I teach my leaders. This is what I do for them. This is why most of my leaders, if not all of them, within a 12-month period of time become diamonds. We run this schedule. We do this. Day in, day out, week in, week out. Do you want to trust me with this? I'm going to give you guys have seen that demonstration where they take a jar and there's big rocks and little rocks and sand. And if you put the sand in first and then the little rocks, the big rocks don't fit, right? Basically what I'm going to show you is the big rocks of doTERRA, like what are the most important rain-making activities of doTERRA. And if you do those first, well then all the little rocks in the sand just seem to kind of fit together. Does this make sense? So these are the 7 rain-making activities. And by the way, we're going to go over them in detail, so you don't have to write them all down right now. We'll go over each one in detail. This is what they are. Wait, hold on. Here we go. Number 1, you need to know how to give an incredibly simple, powerful, interactive introduction to oils class that's duplicatable. You all know that. You taught it last night, didn't you? Or the day before? You need to be able to do a basic business training. It's right after the class. You need to be able to do wellness consults. We've been taught very well by Laura Jacobs. Was that Laura? No. She's like, okay. We need to have continuing education classes. A team call, we're going to go over these, okay? Strategy sessions with key leaders. And we need to contact and follow up. I really wanted to put contacting and following up as the first, but I didn't want to overwhelm you. So we put it at last, okay? Number 1, here we go. Introduction to oils class. You should have a class every week. The same class, no changes, the exact same information, but this is what I haven't told you. The same day, at the same time, at the same place. Every single week, at least one. The same class, the same day, at the same time, at the same location, every single week. Now, why would that help with duplication? Why would that be fantastic for duplication? Everyone knows in your team where that class is happening at 7 p.m. on Thursday night. Every single location that we were trying to open up, every new area. First started in Pleasant Grove, Utah. It was every week, no matter what, at the same time, everyone knew it. So they could bring people to this class. Now, sometimes I would go and there would be like almost no one there. So did we stop doing it every week? No. Sometimes I would go and 60 people would be there and 20 wellness advocates would be there. It's duplication. I remember my Slovak team said to me when we were starting to get really, really tight with duplication, they said, so people are really busy in the summertime. Do we have to like keep doing the same things in the summer? I'm like, I don't know. Do you want to keep getting a check? That's kind of up to you. Of course you do, right? Of course you do. Same day, same time. Now, you can do it at someone's house. You can do it at someone's business. You can go do it at a library. You can meet it wherever you want to meet. But when you're starting a local movement, and that's what really this is, local movements that start up in 1,000 places all over the nation, right? You want to have it the same time, the same place. That's number one. And the same class. We're clear on the same class. That's obvious to you now, right? You've got to really get tight on your duplication model. And let me show you. So for instance, what day do you choose? Well, guess what? Every place in the world is different. In Utah, where we are right now, I'll tell you this. Sunday doesn't work. And Friday and Saturday night don't work. People are going on dates with their family. Monday night doesn't work. They have family night. So we had Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to choose from. So we selected Thursday. Do you know that in Malaysia, Sunday is the very best day? That's the day they choose. It just matters where you are. You have to just select what will be best for your area. Does that make sense? Okay, oil class. Are we clear with that? That's clear, right? Next. Your basic business training. This happens when? Right after the class, and tell me why. Because they're already there. They're already there. And now do you feel comfortable with what we teach there? Yeah. It's good, it's comfortable, it's inspiring. And if you choose not to teach it, what happens? It's really hard. It's a lot harder for you to find sharers and builders, and you duplicate that same thing all the way down. It's building a pipeline we talk about, simplified compensation plan. Basically, everything that, whatever's in that build guide about the company and stuff, that's what you can talk about. It's beautiful. And then your business success story. So far, I'm doing really good with that word. How many of you are committed, if you hadn't done it before, that you are now going to do this at the end of your classes? It needs to become a part of your class, as if you couldn't finish a class without that, right? Next. So here we go. Thursday, we've got an oil class, and we've got biz intro. Number 3, a wellness consult. Now, let's think about this really quick. How many wellness consults do we do a week?
How many enrollments do we have?
As many people as we what? Enroll. So if you're like, I don't know, if you're Keely Martinez and you're enrolling 10 people a week, how many wellness consults does Keely have to do? 10. But that's kind of freaking awesome though, also, right? If you're enrolling 1 or 2 people a week, how many wellness consults do you have in a week?
1 or 2.
1 or 2. You do your own enrollments, and you teach your leaders how to do their enrollments, and it trickles down that way. So let's assume that we have 2 wellness consults. Now, listen to this, you guys. This is a schedule. So what it means is you already schedule the time if you have a wellness consult into that space. So you don't have things like, oh, this is coming up with my kids, or that. When you have a job, do you have a schedule?
Yes.
And you work around that schedule, right?
Yes.
That is what you need to do with doTERRA. You literally need to schedule your doTERRA time as if it's your job. And then if you don't have a wellness consult in those 2 period of times, you don't say, oh, I got some free time. What do? You do more things for what? Your business. That's your business time. Are we clear?
Yep.
If you treat it like a hobby, you'll get paid like a hobby. If you treat it like a business, you'll get paid as if you own a business. Next. Continuing education. We have product classes and we have business classes. You can do them live, which is much better, right? We know why. Or you can do them online to reach a lot of people, or you can do them both. We chose in Utah when we first started, in Utah, I'm not saying this is how it is everywhere, but Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. worked really well to do continuing education. Literally, sometimes I would go to continuing education and we'd have 150 people at continuing education class. It was awesome. And as you start building, now watch, if you have a brand new area and you're just starting to build, who has to teach all those continuing education classes? I do. But then you start building, you start finding people, and you find somebody that has fantastic skin, and you're like, you're going to teach skincare, or you're going to teach LLV, or you're going to teach, does this make sense? And over time, you develop the leaders, and it's a fabulous way to develop leadership because then they start teaching about other things. And then after a while, you only have to show up like once every 8 weeks to teach continuing education because you're just in, you're in this cycle. It's fantastic. But I had somebody come and say, well, if I don't have anybody, who does it? And I'm like, who do you think? You do. That's how it always is when you start all new areas. That's why we get paid residual income. We build, right? We build from scratch. How many of you need to get a lot better with continuing education? Yeah, this is 85% of your check. It's 85% of your check. Next, a team call. Now, team calls happen at the beginning of the week. They are 30 minutes long, no longer than 30 minutes. If they go over 30 minutes, people get bored and they stop getting on your team call. Have you seen that happen? The other thing is, you don't always have to be the one that's talking the whole time. That's boring after a while. To get a lot more interaction is a lot of these things that you're going to be doing, a lot of these things you're going to ask other people to help in your team call, and you get them engaged, right? Now, let's go through this team call. By the way, who does team calls?